Okay, year 11, we're about to embark upon the cosine rule. Even though you don't need to prove this, it's always good to go through the proof and to write some notes. So you need to make sure you don't need the proof, you just need to watch me go through and prove it and write some notes. So to prove any rule, you need to use algebra. And if it can work in an algebraic sense, it means that it's going to work all the time. So I've just constructed a triangle, a scalene triangle. It doesn't have any special properties. And I've labelled each vertex A, B, and C. So the first thing I need to do is I need to label my other side. So this is little c and this is little b. I'm not going to label the other side little a in a moment yet. Oh, well, I will. I'll call it little a. Now I'm going to, and I already have, constructed an altitude down here. That means it leaves from the point A and hits the line BC at 90 degrees. And I'm going to call this point D. I'm going to call this distance x. So therefore this distance is A, the whole lot, minus x. All right? Now just make sure you understand that. So A represents a whole line, BC. X is the distance DC. And BD therefore is A minus x. So let's have a look at this. First of all, let's do a little bit of Pythagoras on the triangle on the left-hand side. And I'm going to get b squared equals x squared. Well, I'm going to label this h because it's a height, plus h squared. So therefore, h squared equals b squared minus x squared. I just took the x over. Righto. Still looking at that triangle. Cos C, just looking at the triangle ADC, because it's a right angle one, equals adjacent x over b. So I can multiply that b across and go b equals cos c. That's what x is. So that's pretty cool. Now, I'm going to take the other triangle on the right-hand side, the ABD, and I'm going to go, okay, c squared equals h squared plus a minus x all squared. So c squared equals h squared plus, let's expand this, a squared minus 2ax plus x squared. Now, this is what I'm going to use because I want to find c squared. Now, I want to get rid of things I don't know. I don't know h, and I don't know any of the x's. All right, the only things I know in my triangle are the things outside, so the angles and the sides. So I know little a, c. So I have to get rid of the h and the x. So over here, I've got h in terms of b squared and x squared. And you might think, well, that's not going to work. Watch what happens. C squared equals, and I'm going to write this in red, b squared minus x squared plus a squared minus 2ax plus x squared. And look what happens. Minus x squared plus x squared, they go. So I've got rid of my h. So I've got c squared equals b squared plus a squared minus 2ax. I've just got to get rid of that last x. And over here, that's what x is. So c squared equals, let's just write the a squared and b squared around the other way to keep them alphabetical. A squared plus b squared minus 2a. And what does x equal? Well, let's write that in blue. B cos C. And that is the formula. C squared equals A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cos C. And you need to have that. It is on your formula sheet. So if we go back and we look at the formula sheet, you can see it there. All right. Did it give us both versions? Yes, it did. Now, how do we get that second version? How do we get that second version? Well, it's just a little bit of algebraic manipulation. So if I want the angle by itself, I'm going to add that to BC. So I'm going to go C squared. I'm going to add the 2ABC, AB cos C over, equals A squared plus B squared. I'm going to minus the C squared, so I get 2AB cos C equals A squared plus B squared minus C squared. And I'm going to divide by the 2AB because that's just a number. So A squared plus B squared minus C squared over 2AB. And that is when you need it to find an angle. There it is. So there are the two forms of the formula. So cos rule, cosine rule. When you need to find a side, you use that one. And when you need to find an angle, you use that one. Now, when you're doing this, when you're doing questions like these, you've got to remember which is which. So remember that A and B include the angle C. Look back up here. Look at our triangle and where we got it from. This is the angle in here. This is angle C, and B and A and the included angle. And the C is opposite. So you've got to remember what goes where. Otherwise, you're going to end up making mistakes. So what can they ask you? Essentially, they can only ask you to find a side or an angle. So in question 1, they find the value of the pronumeral, where the pronumeral is a side. In question 2, find the value of the angle. Okay, so let's just do 1e and 2e. So 1e. Now, it's most important to get them in order or label them. So that's going to be my A, that's going to be my B, my C is this, and that's my angle, my cos C. So, here I go. Righto. And the pronumeral is y, so I'm going to use their pronumeral. Y squared equals A squared. What was A? I've lost it. I'm going to have to go to my other book on my other computer. And 15.9. So 15.9 squared plus 8.7 squared minus 2 times 15.9 times 8.7 cos, and the angle is 101 degrees. Oh, sorry, 28 degrees. Looking at the wrong question. 28 degrees in 52 minutes. Righto. And that's going to give me y squared. So here we go. just a lot of calculator work now. That line, that first line is very important. Don't neglect it. 15.9 squared plus 8.7 squared minus 2 times 15.9 times 8.7 times cos 28 degrees 52 minutes. You get your answer. You can write this down, 86.21 dot dot dot, and you have to square root it. That's a really common mistake. People don't square root their answer. So 9.28, and I'm just going to check that we got the right one. Yeah, 9.3. 9.28 dot dot dot, 9.28 dot dot dot, which equals 9.3. And they didn't put any measurements on there, so we don't know what units it's in. So that's finding a side. Finding an angle. I'm going to go straight for the angle formula over here, cos C, and I'm going to apply it to this one here. So it's important that you get the right ones. So here, that's A, and that's B, and that's C. If you mess them up, you're going to be in trouble. So what have I got? Cos theta equals a squared plus b squared minus a squared plus b squared minus c squared over 2ab. So A is 7.6 squared plus B 8.2 squared minus C 9.5 squared all over 2 times 7.6 times 8.2. And I've got to inverse cos all of that. I'm going to do it all in one go. 7.6 squared plus 8.2 squared minus 9.5 squared. If you do it in parts, there's always a chance that you'll get compounded error from rounding or you'll mess it up. And that line will get you full marks, usually. That's a terrible theta. So, shift cos, let's put a big fraction in there, 7.8 squared plus 8.2 squared minus 9.5 squared, let's go below, over 2 times 7.6, whoops, too many points, 6 times 8.2, close the bracket, whoops, too many of those, 72 and something, I got 73 here, have I put in the wrong number there somewhere? 7.6, is it 7.6? 8.2, 9.5. They've got, the answer here is 73 degrees 49. I've got 72, and I've got a feeling that I've typed in something, 8.2, 8.2, 9.5, are all my numbers right? Ah, look at the very first one, I wrote 7.8. Righto. Now I've got the right answer. 73.81. 73.81 dot dot dot. Now, even though I typed that incorrectly in my calculator, imagine if I'd done that and I'd written 72 here. In an HSC, they would have looked at this and they said, right, that person knows what they're doing. They've got full marks. Yeah, there's a calculator error somewhere there. We don't even know what they've done. They wouldn't have seen my calculator, but I still could possibly get full marks for that. So that line is so important. Let's go back and get this in degrees, minutes, and seconds. So we just press that button. 73 degrees, 49 minutes. You can write all of it down. So 73 degrees, 48 minutes. What was it? 40 seconds, which is 73 degrees, 49 minutes. Now that's all they can ask you, but obviously some of these other questions are going to get harder. I want you to have a go at them. Email me if you're having trouble. Good luck.